Have you gotten a COVID-19 vaccine? Have you done any of the boosters? I just have one thing to say about that. If you did, more power to you. I don't have any problem with that. And by the way, if you didn't, more power to you. I don't have any problem with that. I personally am not going to relinquish the information about my COVID-19 vaccination. I'm not going to talk about it at all. And I don't expect you to either. I don't expect you to comment on it or say anything else on it. You can if you want, but you definitely do not have to do that. I'm going to talk about vaccination status today on the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host, I'm Kurt, and today is Sunday, the 5th of September of 2021. Welcome to everyone who's here on Rumble on the podcast and on YouTube. Remember, Rumble is my preferred platform. It's where I prefer that you view me. And again, today the subject is going to be vaccination status. And I'm going to very quickly get through my notes so that you can have some idea where I'm going before we actually get into the main body of the video. I want to start by saying one thing quite clearly. I know nobody making fun of, berating, or even laughing at folks who choose the COVID-19 vaccine. In fact, I see most folks treating. I don't see most folks treating it any differently than if you choose to get the flu shot. What I see, in fact, is more or less exactly the opposite. People are being fired for declining to be vaccinated, quote, vaccinated against, end of quote, COVID-19. Some, don't know how many, government entities are putting mandates in place. Some are more strict, others less so. All that said, people being told to get vaccinated or suffer the consequences. People are being told to get vaccinated or suffer the consequences. I'm one of those people who questions the efficacy of those supposed vaccines. They're literally doing something that has never been done before. Where they're concerned. Based on the reality of people having done their duty and gotten one or more jabs, getting COVID, along with the fact that some seem to be no better off in terms of symptoms when that happens, and you can be assured I'm not laughing or sneering or anything like that about this. You really have to question how well those inoculations actually work. This is on top of the fact there are questions about the longevity of the protection where the various vaccinations are concerned. Again, if they really work at all. Then there are folks who have legitimate health concerns. Their doctor or other health professional has told them they should not get vaccinated. You say you, quote, don't understand this being made political. Do you not understand people are being forced already in some instances to put something they don't entirely trust or believe is efficacious in their into their bodies if they want to do things like go to work or eat a meal? This country was born of a desire for freedom to be left alone. And all this for an illness with a 99% survival rate for just about, if not, everybody. This is what you need to understand in my view. Okay, let's get on with the subject here. I think I've said a lot of what needs said here. There are serious questions as to whether or not the vaccines that exist are efficacious in keeping people. They don't. Okay, let's get something clear. As a rule, vaccinations do not keep people from getting the thing against which the person is being vaccinated. What they're supposed to do is mitigate the potential symptoms. The body's supposed to be able to better fight off the various or the particular pathogen for which the vaccination has been given. You give somebody the chickenpox vaccination, not for chickenpox as I recall, but for you give them cowpox for chickenpox. I don't remember. It's something like that. But the point is, you don't even give them the same thing, but it helps them to fight off the thing that they don't want to have. And even if they get it, it means that they don't have to deal with it in the same sort of way that they would have to deal with it if they got the, quote, full-on, full-blown thing. Well, the same thing applies to COVID-19. If the vaccines work, and I question whether or not they do, I'm not saying I know they don't. And I'll always tell you, take your doctor's advice. Do what your doctor says. Or more importantly, do what you think is the best thing to do based on informed decisions that you make based on things like your doctor's advice. Don't trust your doctor. Trust yourself. Trust yourself. I'm not saying don't go to your doctor. I'm not saying don't factor your doctor's statements in terms of what you should do. I'm saying it's about whether or not you think it's a reasonable thing to do for you to have any kind of medical procedure, period. It isn't about your doctor. It isn't about some medical professional somewhere. It's your choice, and you can't really abdicate that. But here's the thing. My answer to you is I have questions about whether or not the COVID-19 vaccinations are actually doing what people think and believe them to be doing to begin with. Then there are questions about whether or not if you get the vaccinations, they end up with long-term immunity. Look, as far as I can tell, the MMR shots and various things, long-term immunity. And you get a booster at some point to increase the immunity, but it's way down along the line somewhere as far as I understand it. And there comes a point where that's really not a thing anymore. Now, it happens that I'm pretty sure I've had measles and I may have had mumps. So as far as it goes, now, this is what I understand. I don't remember either. But as far as it goes, my answer is probably MMR isn't very beneficial to me. And maybe still I could get measles or mumps and it might still have a bad effect on me. I'm not trying to argue otherwise. But here's what I'm trying to say to you. I'm not even sure the COVID-19 vaccinations of various kinds, particularly because they're a new kind of thing and mostly mRNA in nature. Okay, I'm not even sure that those things do what's advertised. It's certainly questionable some of them do, right? Because, again, they're mRNA and we've never used that before. And by the way, the things that they do are more or less the opposite of what you would do for a vaccine, which is, like I say, to introduce inert or dead or whatever you want to say viruses with the idea that the body will learn how to deal with them. That's not what the mRNA vaccine does. You can do your research and you'll find out what it actually does do. My understanding is what it does is actually causes the production of the spike protein with the idea that the body will learn how to fight it, which is not necessarily true. And oh, by the way, if you happen to get the illness after having huge amounts of that spike protein put into your system, I think there's a possibility it could be worse. I don't know. I'm not speaking from a position of knowledge, and I'm not even speaking from a position of knowledge with regard to what those vaccines do. What I am saying is this. I don't see people saying to people who have gotten vaccinated or believe that's a good idea, oh, you're a horrible human being, you should stop talking, you should go and hide in shame, or any of that. I see them, for the most part, saying, no, you just go ahead and do what it is that you're doing, have a good life, hopefully things will go well for you. The fact is, if you got the vaccine, it should have basically no effect on me unless you end up being a super spreader or something else, which I have heard nothing that indicates that that's the case. So why would I care whether or not you get the vaccine from that sort of perspective? But I want you to know this. If I say, for whatever reason, I don't want the vaccine, and you tell me then you can't come into Walmart or Target, or you can't go and eat in a public place, or whatever it happens to be, basically what you're doing is forbidding me access to various places, and particularly if it's work, on the basis that you believe that I should get the vaccine, and that's not a real thing. First of all, if I've had COVID, it certainly is not reasonable to expect me to get the vaccine from everything that I'm aware of. I've already got immunity, and in fact, I probably even got immunity to things like the beta variant or alpha, whatever variant it is. Whatever variant is out there at the moment. It's just like getting the cold. You probably got immunity to some degree, and the more of the different kinds of colds you get, the more chances there are that you're going to have immunity. The greater the chances you're going to have immunity. So this is sort of my perspective with regard to this. I don't begrudge anybody feeling they need to get the COVID vaccine the fact that they either have done so or are going to do so. I really question whether or not it's beneficial, and I want you to know something, and this is important enough that I'm going to maybe run a little over. I have concerns about your health if you've gotten the COVID vaccine. I don't know whether or not those concerns are going to materialize at this point in time, but it's not something I'm, you got the COVID vaccine and it's going to hurt you. That's not how things are. I'm concerned for your well-being and not anything else. People act like people, they act like humans, or they're not really people. And I don't want you to think anything else about me. This has been the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host, I'm Kurt, and today is Sunday, the 5th of September of 2021. That means tomorrow will be Monday, the 6th of September 2021. I believe it's Labor Day. Thank you for everyone who's been here on Rumble, on the podcast, and on YouTube. The subject today is vaccination status. That's what we've talked about. And tomorrow we're going to talk about the subject of life, and we're going to talk about it from sort of a more clinical, more what is life? I almost could have titled this "What is Life" and been just as accurate or proper about my what I say here. Hope things are going well for you. Hope you're having a good Sunday, and hopefully we will see you again on Monday's edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video was recorded on Sunday, September 5th of 2021. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that, and you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.